Hello everybody, this is Geoffrey here, and sorry, announcers. Okay, hello everybody, this is Geoffrey, and today I thought I'd bring you a video that's a response to some responses I got from my last one. Now in my last video I played Crystal Maiden, and the enemy team had a Terrorblade, and the Terrorblade got shut down pretty damn hard. And I actually made a lot of criticisms in regards to the way the Terrorblade built. So I figured that the best way to explain how I felt about Terrorblade was to play Terrorblade himself. Now Terrorblade is one of the first carries I ever learned to play, which is part of the reason why I actually have his Arcana. So Purple will eventually reconnect, but I will start to explain the pros and cons of Terrorblade in a bit. Now, Terrorblade has a very low starting health in terms of base health. He's got 435. That's actually less than Crystal Maiden starts with. She starts with about 450. So he has low base health, but he has really high armor. He has 7 armor at level 1 without any items, which is 29% physical damage resistance. Top it all off, he gets an impressive amount of damage per level because he gets 3.2 agility per level. But he only gets 1.4 strength per level. So, what you need to watch out for when you play Terrorblade are a lot of early ganks can easily take you down. You need to make sure that you have a decent amount of base health when you start, which is why I start with Circlet and 2 branches instead of a Stout Shield. You could actually start with a Stout Shield instead of the Quelling Blade. It's not a bad choice, but the enemy team has a Nature's Prophet, and I'm worried about Nature's Prophet ganking, which is why I take the Quelling Blade. The Quelling Blade, I mean. Normally, I might just take the Stout Shield and the Circlet, and I'd be just A-okay. Maybe get some tangos and take buy another branch for myself, that sort of thing. Terrorblade needs to watch out for early ganks because he has no escape mechanism. He has a slow, but that's about it. He has no real escape mechanism. He has low base health. So what does he have? He has a lot of damage early on. He comes online very early. With just 1 point in Metamorphosis, I'm already dealing a lot of damage per right click because I'm dealing 75 damage per right click right now in my Metamorphosis form, in my ranged form. Metamorphosis is by far one of the most important skills to get for him, because as you can see right now, he gets 20, 40, 60, and 80 damage per level in this, and he's ranged. He does lose 25 range, but he goes to 290 movement speed, which isn't horribly slow. It's slow, and like I said, you're not escaping anything, but you will do a lot of damage. So he comes online fairly early. Metamorphosis means he already does a lot of damage early on. And once you have Conjure Image scales so well with him because the illusions will, at level 4, will deal 60% of his damage. So if you have the maximum amount of illusions up at a time, which is 2, he will deal 220% of the damage that he can do. He has a decent disable, Reflection. It scales pretty well too because it's an illusion that deals 40, 50, 60, and 70% of the target's damage. So for instance, looking at the enemy lineup right now, if Phantom Assassin gets a good item, I can use my Q on Phantom Assassin and it'll scale with her. And it can also crit on her, that sort of thing. So, in the Crystal Maiden game, I often criticize the Terrorblade because he got a lot of agility items, and you don't really need that at the start. Terrorblade comes with a lot of damage. He's getting 3 agility per level. That's 3 damage, plus attack speed. And every 2 levels, he's gaining almost 1 point in armor. So really, you don't need to stack as much damage. Get early survivability with him. In this game, I'm going for an early drums, because I want the mobility. There's really 3 optimal openings I feel he has. The first one is Scotty, if you can go for it. This is when you will build a drums. The second one you can consider is BKB, if the enemy team has a lot of burst. Now the enemy lineup here has burst, but it's not all magic damage burst. It's really just the Queen of Pain that does magic damage burst. So I'm not going to go for the BKB first opening. And BKB first is something you never really want. It's just something you consider. And last one, which is gives you more mid-game presence but doesn't allow you to scale as hard, is S and Y. Because it gives you the base strength to increase your mana pool. It gives you more damage, attack speed, movement speed. It gives you maim that potentially allows him to slow. If I'd stuck around and gotten at least one more hit off, we would have gotten a kill here. But unfortunately we didn't because I was playing really safe, and there's nothing wrong with that. Playing safe is completely fine. I get a TP score and just head back now. Finish up my bracer. I really want to just make sure that when Queen of Pain hits level 4, she can blink Q, E me with 2 points in her E, burst me down, and then chase me a little bit. But this Queen of Pain is going for max Q. I think it might just be for the safety of offlane, so that you have a better slow. But really, with Queen of Pain's burst potential, I'd always say get more points in E if you can get away with it. Because the damage of her E is intense. It's just so strong, and there's really no reason not to get it. Especially when you know you're up against Terrorblade, you should be going for more burst. Because if you give him time, Terrorblade's just gonna sunder you once he hits level 6. So when is Terrorblade weakest? As a carry, he's weakest, like a lot of carries, at levels 1 to 3. Because, like I said, he's got no real escape mechanism. His base health is really low. Yeah, you need a support who can... Which is why Jace is on Witch Doctor. Because Witch Doctor has the ability to stun multiple targets at once. So if we were up against a dual lane, and they tried to die for me, he could stun both of them at once with his Q. Now... the other window that I need to watch out for against a solo lane, whether it be Timbersaw or a Queen of Pain or any other bursty sort of offlaner, is when I'm level 5, their offlaner would be about level 6. And especially for Queen of Pain, that's the point in time she can burst me down before I can sunder her. And that's why I would have said Queen of Pain should go for maxing out her E when she can. Now, I know I'm shoving the lane, and there's a good reason for this. Terrorblade early on, because of the damage boost by Metamorphosis as well as Conjure Image, means that he can push a lane really, really quickly. You can apply a lot of lane pressure. And I'll show you this in a bit, because Queen of Pain's going to come back. I think she's trying to use Q to harass me out of lane. I'm missing a few last hits here, unfortunately. Not my best moment. See, she just comes in on me, and I just go into Metamorphosis form. One hit has already taken her down more health from her than her Q did. Just shove. Just shove as hard as you can. Just like that. Look. 3 hits. Just like that. If there was another creep for that stun to bounce to, she'd have been so dead. Or if he had landed that Malediction earlier, she'd have been dead. The damage Terrorblade does is intense, and it's illusion based, so I mean, you can use it to pressure towers, and even if they kill it, it's not like it's gonna give them any gold. So all of his skills actually scale up pretty well. I mean, his stats are good, and he can become ranged. He gets a bonus damage. There's nothing ever wrong with a melee hero being able to go ranged. He creates illusions that can deal 60% of his base damage. That scales with his stats. His Q scales with the enemy, so even at late game, in a neutral position, that Q is still fine. And his ultimate goes through BKB, or other forms of spell immunity, and allows him to brawl. And that's really what he's good at. You see, a lot of the ganky carries like PA, they do a fair amount of burst. Or they can find a way to do damage early on without them taking as much. They can win traits, like Faceless Void can use his Chronosphere, and basically he gets free hits on you. Terrorblade doesn't have any of that, but what Terrorblade has is the immense amount of damage he can do, which is why, for instance, one of the better openings, if you can get away with it, probably the greediest opening he has, is to go Scotty into Satanic. So he goes in, he attacks, he does a lot of damage attacking everything, he has a lot of base agility, so he just gets some base health, he attacks, he life drains, and then once he's low in health, even if you focus him down, he'll just sunder, and then he'll continue brawling in your face. He can do this. He is very strong in that regard. Which is why early on you want to make sure that you don't be too greedy for a kill. If you can drive them out of lane, you're winning. Take the small victories if you have to. Don't try and go for a big one. Having a support that can heal you is fine. You really just need a support who can... You can play with an aggressive or defensive support, but you do need someone who can, in particular, try and help you out during levels 1 to 3. The level 5 to 6 bit is a bit iffy, but that depends. Their mid is Phantom Assassin, so... I mean, Phantom Assassin can dive me, but it's not going to be an easy dive for her to make. So let's pull up the GPM. I'm actually doing fairly well. EXP per minute, of course the Queen of Pain's doing better than I am. It's something that you pay for. Queen of Pain tried to go in on me. I'll just rewind that so you guys see what happens. This was a really greedy play. She hit level 6 and she was trying to go in on me. To be fair, if I just stood still and let her try and burst me down, I could have sundered her during, in between her skills, and I think I would have been able to do it. And we could have probably gotten a kill there, but I didn't want to risk it, so we just played really safe. I think I'm just controlling the courier at this point in time. And really, once I get Drums of Endurance, I have a decent amount of base health. Like, as with the Bracer already, I have 701 max health. That puts me now in a safe spot. It's like the 1 or 2 points in strength really make a difference. So she goes in on me, I just sunder her, and it bounces, I slow her, which is why her Q, Terrorblade's Q is at level 1 is a 2.5 second 60% slow. It is a value point to get. You don't need to max it out unless you're losing your lane to a right clicker, but it's a very, very strong point to have. Because early on, it's not like you deal enough damage to justify maxing out Conjure Image at all. But yeah. So now with Boots and a Drums of Endurance, my base movement speed is 383. In ranged form, as you can see, it's 356. So that still gives me an average movement speed. So now with Drums of Endurance, I am completely safe. Well, not completely safe, but I'm in a safe spot. And my illusions are dealing a fair amount of damage to this tower per hit. As you can see, my illusions deal about 8 damage to tower per hit. And it's free because they're just illusions. I mean, it's costly at early levels, but it's fine because... Oh, and this is Ursa trying to go in on Roshan. Standard stuff here. Nothing much happens until... maybe in about 2 or 3 minutes. I'll let you know. Because he was scouted by this ward over here. So Terrorblade, like I said, comes online very early but doesn't deal any damage. Doesn't have any control. He deals quite a bit of damage. He's, in my opinion, a better counter ganker, which is why I do have a TP scroll on me. So he does get the Aegis, and it's Nature's Prophet and Queen of Pain, so I rotate down. I use my Conjure Image before I go in, so they don't immediately know who it is. And that was unnecessary. I queued the wrong target. And they take down the Ursa, so I just teleport out. Again, TP scroll save lives, so I get away with about 100 health. Again, strength. Have strength on you. And now that I have Drums of Endurance, I have a decent amount of survivability, I have movement speed, I have the stats I need, and really what I need now is to get something that goes halfway. You can still go for SNY here, or you can go for Skadi. There's no real reason to get a BKB. Some people do like to get Manta Style early on. I don't like Manta Style early on because it, like I said, it just gives you damage. It gives you a little bit of tankiness, but for the same reasons, unless you really wanted to commit to an early push, which I don't at this point in time, there's no reason to be getting Manta Style. You need something with early strength. Now I'm shoving the lanes just because we can. I'm fairly online. Now, I know a lot of people like to build damage on Terrorblade because he comes with a lot of damage early on, and it's very easy to get into this mindset to think, well, I already have damage. If I get more damage, then it's even faster. Well, yes, but you're still squishy, and that doesn't stop. Make sure, unless you have a very clear advantage, I don't like going all in when you're a carry. I always like to get a good defensive item. So they go in on them. Unfortunately, we lose Shadow Shaman almost immediately, but we still have the tower, and that's still a good trade. I'm not sure about planting the wards, that was unnecessary. But we go in on the Phantom Assassin, and I create an illusion of her. The illusion of her actually gets a crit on her, that was cute. So, the trades are in our favor, because we traded Shadow Shaman for PA. I just back off. Well on my way to getting an ultimate orb. Like I said, Terrorblade does a lot of damage and he can push very early. Most of his damage is illusion based, which is essentially free, so don't be worried. And I just go back to farming. And as you can see, I'm doing very well in terms of GPM. And I'm not even afraid of Queen of Pain anymore, because Queen of Pain, even if this were a level 4, after 25% magic resistances, it would have dealt 225 magic damage. This is pure, so that's 325 damage. He misses that. So that would have been 550 damage. So it could have killed me, but not when I'm at max health. So even now if she tries to go in, like she could if she had a level 4, but then she wouldn't be dealing this much harass with me for Q. Now, there are different builds for different hero carries. Certain carries need to go aggressive early, which is probably why I don't do as well with them. People like PA. Now, the reason why she has to back off now is that if she stops for a minute, I sunder her and we win. She tries to blink in for a scream, she misses just barely. And I just decide to head back because why not? It was a good call by her, so yeah. Different carries have different purposes. People like PA and Faceless Void need an early damage item because they're all about making sure that they're getting kills once they hit level 6. People like Terrorblade are more about sustained. People like Terrorblade and Spectre, which are my preferred kinds of carries, they play a little passively for a while. I mean, I'm definitely playing more aggressive than a Spectre would. Because Spectre has a lot more global gank presence, whereas Terrorblade has a lot more damage. He shoves pretty damn hard because he has all that straightforward damage. So I try to create my images while in the jungle so that they don't know which one's which. And my high armor actually means that they don't immediately know who's who. As you can see, I just deal damage. So does the Ursa, of course. Ursa is a very strong mid gamer. And as you can see, I have 46% physical damage resistance right now. I'm actually fairly good against right click. So I'm not really scared of PA unless she has a Desolator. But yeah, they needed to build a Desolator. Always watch out for it. Which is why when you're playing Terrorblade, you don't really get items like Assault Cuirass, because armor has diminishing returns. Armor has diminishing returns, and he scales so well with stats anyway because you want the extra survivability because he's a sustained brawler. You're almost always better off getting agility rather than damage. So I get an ultimate orb. That's a significant boost. I'm dealing 105 damage per right click. It's already more than the PA is doing. And the PA, doesn't the PA outlevel me? Okay, the PA is one level behind me. Still. Okay, so they go in. I block the Witch Doctor and nearly kill him. But we turn it around and we get the kill. And then we get a good shackle, an amazing shackle actually in the PA. So I'm getting a lot of assists. And then I just sunder the Quap. And she's even being slowed by the poison of my Orb of Venom. Unfortunately, Viper gets burst down. I should have used my Quelling Blade over there to cut down the trees when he was trying to teleport out. I would have got an extra hit on him. But whatever. And just like this, we are able to push lanes. Now, Treant Protector has a DD rune and a Ghanims, and we weren't really too sure what he was trying to do. As you can see, the Shadow Shaman was just a little bit toxic. But whatever. Once again, don't overextend, play passively. You have a lead, try and keep it. This is probably why we don't see Terrorblade in competitive games at the moment, because Terrorblade is very TI3. He's very... It's not that he needs a lot of space, it's not that he's a core. It's more the fact that he... Oh, and just watch this. So yeah, just go to range form, create illusions, and then we'll out DPS him. Just like that. Then he has to run. It's just that he's very... He doesn't make any big plays. He's a very consistent sort of character. I mean, if your mid is your core, then you can actually pick someone like Terrorblade for your carry, because he once you have a decent levels 1 to 3, he just doesn't really ever become irrelevant. He might not be as much of an asset in team fights, but he'll always be relevant in pushing. Like, this is going down fairly fast. Queen of Pain blinks in and tries to scream me. I get one earn charge because I was worried about this. And this happens. So I just sunder. Unfortunately, the enemy Treant Protector does fade out. So the Io gets a good rescue. PA comes in on me, which is fine. Now, unfortunately, my Q is a really short range, it's practically melee, so I ask Jace to just use his stun for the half a second, so I get my slow off. Of course, Ursa ends up coming in, so it's all fine. What does Ursa have? Yasha. That explains a lot. Let me just push. Like, I'm not too fussed about trying to get kills here. We have a decisive lead, and I just want to maintain it. Terrorblade is very good for keeping momentum. He doesn't do anything that turns tides around, really. He is reliable. Like, if you have someone who does damage, this is a bad idea to go in when they know where you are. I mean, they probably would have guessed, but still, don't actually walk in and confirm it if you can help it. So I do a fair amount of damage. I should actually be tanking the Roshan because I have Sunder. But it didn't occur to me at the time, and that's something I should have paid more attention to. They get a kill on the Treant Protector because there is a Vision Ward right here. Sentry Ward, I mean. This is in League of Legends. Can I not get flamed for it? Thank you very much. Where did I go? Oh, okay. So I'm in top lane. Just whack. So as you can see, I don't have any actual damage item. You don't see me with a Battle Fury or anything, but I'm dealing a fair amount of damage, just like this, because, like I said, I get 3.2 agility per level. I'm relevant as long as I don't fall too far behind. In terms of GPM, I have the highest GPM on the team, and it's not as if I haven't even been in fights, so I was pretty happy with the way the game was going for me. Like, you're never bad in fights, you're just not the carry. You don't feel like the carry sometimes. But you scale pretty hard with items. I told Witch Doctor to go mid and help.
Dominating. Double kill.
So they get kills, things are happening, I'm not too worried.
Radiant's bottom tower under fire.
And I go into my Metamorphosis form. Deciding when you use Metamorphosis is a huge deal. You lose movement speed, so you have a much harder time getting away. Drums can help, but every time you use your Metamorphosis form, you need to be ready, you need to be sure that you're entrenching into a spot, which is essentially what I do here. I prepare myself to quite literally siege. And I make the mistake of tanking a few tower hits, so I use my Sunder on the illusion. And all I'm focused on is the tower, not trying to make any big plays. We have playmakers on the team. We have a Witch Doctor, we have an Ursa, we have Viper, we have people who can deal, who can shut down heroes. All I need to do is make sure that we are constantly getting a lead, and I am constantly getting stronger and stronger, so that eventually, even if PA does try and man-fight me, like, the only thing I need to be concerned about is PA getting lucky and being relevant in one fight, because that's all that it'll take for her to become a huge threat to the entire game. And of course I use my illusion to block the camp. And once I have that, I just man-fight. So really, against PA, make sure you have enough base health so she can't stun you, crit you, and then shut you down. That's the only thing I'm worried about right now. So I'm gonna get my Skadi, and then I'm gonna... Well, after Skadi, normally I would have preferred to get Satanic. I don't in this game for a different reason, and you'll see it later. After Skadi, I prefer to get Satanic because the two unique attack modifiers stack. That's a unique property of them. And with those two, I could man-fight the PA. But eventually we reached this point where we weren't afraid of the PA because we had enough magic damage and stuff. Once the next creep wave comes, I am... Yeah, really, once my Metamorphosis is back up online, I am relevant all over again. When we can siege this. And Treant Protector pushes bot lane. I mean, it's the smartest thing to do. Yep, and once again, just sieging. That's all that needs to happen, siege. And then, of course, we lock the Nature's Prophet. And once again, I'm not focused on anything else. I move slowly, but I am a tank. I am here to steamroll your base and maybe micro my illusion so that I actually attack your barracks. Thank you very much. Well, bye-bye. Just like that. And really, at this point in time, we could have probably ended it just by shoving mid. I'm not sure why we don't, but yeah, this... And so everyone seems to kind of content to just hang back here. So... And none of us have TP scrolls, unfortunately, on my team, I think. Yeah, none of us have TP scrolls, so we decide to back off because we understand the threat of split push. I'm not sure why he uses his ult. Probably just for the Ursa. As for me, I'm just gonna go and farm again. And I noticed this, so I have to go shut this down. So that at least we can get more creeps. The minute mark. I probably should have stuck around, but I wanted to push a lane. Even though the extra gold would have been nice. And this is where, from Skadi, now that I have the survivability, I need to make a big choice. What's my next item? And Terrorblade is one of those heroes where your item choice really matters, because each item needs to substantially add to what you're doing. Because remember what I said, he doesn't have anything that scales as well as some other carries. He doesn't have built-in crit, he doesn't have armor reduction or anything, any one of that. But he does have a lot of damage. And Satanic was what I was planning on getting, but when I realized that they're trying to split push, or at least some of them are thinking of split pushing, my immediate response from there was, we need to be able to push harder. And so my next item is going to be Manta Style, because Manta Style will allow me to end the game a lot faster. Now, this is really bold of me to go in alone, but my team was being as aggressive as they could be, and I had a fair amount of base health, so I wasn't worried about Queen of Pain's burst. Like, Queen of Pain can't burst me down, and I'm still holding on to my blade, so if Nature's Prophet does anything, I should be able to handle it. I don't actually get any vision of him here. It's unfortunate. He's trying to stop me from pushing in. It's the smartest thing he could do, to be honest. And the reason why I am now more aware of their push potential is because I actually did forget for a while that they had a Nature's Prophet, which is a really silly thing to do against Nature's Prophet. If you've seen Secret versus Cloud9 at the DAC round 2, yeah, I'm making references to the pro scene. I'm so meta. You need to remember that, especially if you're not going to be carrying TP scrolls around with you at all times, which I am now, you need to be able to push really hard. And that's something I do have the pleasure of being able to do. I should be sending in my illusions to at least attack the tower a little bit. But we don't, because we're actually waiting on Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor has got his Ghanims, so our next clash is in our favor. And so once the next creep wave comes, I send my illusion ahead of schedule to tank a single hit and grant us vision, because he's about to die anyway. So he grants us vision, the cask flies, the ultimate goes out. That was a beautiful Maledict hitting Queen of Pain and PA, the two biggest threats on their enemy team. And just like this, we push. Now they're trying to push bot lane, and they have significant amount of push power. We should be using our glyph, to be honest, but we don't. I'm not sure why. Oh, it is actually currently like on cooldown. Didn't realize this. And this is one of the situations where we need to end. So I'm just going straight for the kill.
Many of them, a condition for ownage has been met.
As you can see. If they had Desolator, this would have actually been a legit threat, but they don't. But we're pushing harder than they are right now, so. And just like this, I have Manta Style, so I'm going to go quickly pick it up. And then just send my illusions. All of this just to attack. And there we go. Lots of damage. So much damage. And there we go. That is Terrorblade. Not a big play sort of carry, but a very reliable, very straightforward, and a very dependable late game carry, as long as you're mindful of the burst potential of the enemy team, you will always have to work around the enemy team's burst. But once you have accounted for it and you have enough survivability and base health, you can just steamroll and continuously brawl. Anything that sustains your ability to fight over an extended period of time is good. Regen items are good, lifesteal is good, armor, resistances are all pretty good. If you have to, you can consider getting things like... I wouldn't get items like any sort of attack speed item, so Mjolnirs are out of the question. I would almost never get an Assault Cuirass. It's like I said, armor has diminishing returns. You're actually not going to be getting much out of it in terms of how much armor you get. I mean, if your ally wants to build Assault Cuirass, more power to them. You need to work on stats. You can, if you want to get damage, try to get it in the form of agility, because you can always use the armor. And what else do I need to watch out for? Early on, do not worry about getting more survivability. In fact, like I said, you don't need to start with a Quelling Blade. That was just because of the fear of Nature's Prophet. If you start with the Stout Shield and the components for a Bracer, that's completely fine. Or working towards a Bracer, that's completely fine. Don't worry about overcommitting to survivability. You got 3 agility per level. You will be able to do enough damage. Don't worry about it. So, I hope this helps some of you who are wondering what I meant when I say the Terrorblade was building wrong in the last game. And I hope this gives some of you an idea of how I like to play Terrorblade and how I think Terrorblade is best played. Now, leave some comments in the description down below if you disagree, or you can go to my Facebook profile if you have any suggestions or if you want to talk to me about just the general builds I've been doing. Aside from that, like, comment, subscribe, share it if you like it, and I hope I'll see you all again. Bye.